What if I told you there was once a lion so feared that even the king of the savannah fled in humiliation? This is the story of Fang, a warrior marked by scars, with a broken tooth and a reputation that echoes among the guides of the Masai Mara like a myth. While many lions succumbed to time and rivals, Fang faced the greatest coalition ever formed in the savannah, and not only survived, he defied fate. In this video you'll discover how a single lion stood up against an entire empire led by Notch and his 5 sons, and what that reveals about strategy, power, and leadership among the kings of Africa. Get ready. This story isn't just about lions, it's about what it means to dominate, to survive, and to challenge destiny. In the beating heart of the Masai Mara Reserve in Kenya, a rivalry between 2 of the most iconic lions ever recorded shaped the course of local history. Fang, easily recognized by his broken canine, a remnant of a violent fight, ruled with authority. His name echoed across the plains, marked by courage and relentless leadership. Notch, his rival, was different, no less powerful but more calculating. His gaze revealed strategy, not just strength. And when these 2 titans collided, the impact was felt throughout the savannah. According to records from regional observers and documentaries like Big Cat Diary, Fang is said to have faced Notch in a striking clash along the banks of the Mara River. The fight was fierce. Fang emerged with a broken tooth, a permanent scar that came to symbolize his resilience. Notch, on the other hand, suffered the humiliation of seeing his dominance threatened, and possibly part of his harem taken. A loss that, for a dominant male lion, means more than territory. It means interrupted lineage. This conflict wasn't an isolated event, but the beginning of a long-term territorial rivalry. As mentioned in studies from the Mara Predator Conservation Program, the dispute over lionesses and control of prey-rich areas is one of the main drivers of clashes between coalitions. At that moment, Notch retreated. But he didn't vanish. He withdrew, like those who know that revenge is a strategy, not a reaction. While Fang held control with Queen Layla at his side, an influential and formidable lioness, Notch, in exile, began to plan. What few knew was that the true battle was yet to come. And nature, in all its unpredictability, would play a crucial role in the separation and reunion of these 2 giants. The savannah does not forgive hesitation. Every misstep can mean the loss of everything. It was in this setting that Fang, solidified as one of the boldest leaders in the region, made a daring decision to expand his territory into Notch's domain. The goal was clear: to take his lionesses. As observed in field records from the Masai Mara Wildlife Conservancies Association, this move exponentially increased the tension between the coalitions, a silent war on the verge of explosion. The first major offensive didn't take long. On the banks of the Mara River, Fang and Notch engaged in a violent clash marked by swift charges, sharp snarls, and slashing claws. Both emerged wounded. Fang with the now well-known broken tooth, a symbol of the fight's brutality, Notch with wounded pride and threatened dominance. The battle was recorded by local guides and documented in BBC Earth expeditions, becoming a turning point in the balance of power between the 2. But nature, in its majestic irony, soon intervened. Heavy rains turned the Mara River into a liquid wall, nearly impassable. With the flooding, the 2 coalitions were isolated on opposite sides, a truce imposed by the landscape itself. This forced break allowed each side to regroup. Fang remained with Layla, strengthening bonds and protecting their cubs. Notch, on the other hand, withdrew to the eastern side where his silent exile began to feed something even more powerful: vengeance. Time passed, but in the savannah, silence rarely means peace. It's often just the prelude to war. What was once brute strength turned into strategy. What was impulse became calculation. The Mara River, now a barrier between empires, became the symbol of what was still to come. After all, when the waters dry, the inevitable confrontation will begin again. For years, the Mara River served as a divider of kingdoms, a liquid line drawn between 2 feline empires. The flood transformed the landscape, creating a natural wall that separated Fang and his coalition from Notch and his few remaining allies. While many saw only a geographic obstacle, the more observant knew that river dictated the pace of a cold war between giants. A tense silence hovered over the savannah, heralding a new era of strategy and power. On the western side, Fang established a stable domain alongside Layla, his mate and queen. Together, they raised a generation of cubs that thrived on the plains under their protection. Ruling a vital and fertile territory, Fang reinforced his leadership daily, making it clear his presence was undisputed. According to records from the Mara Predator Conservation Program, areas near the river offer abundant prey and shade, crucial advantages for a pride's survival. Notch, however, didn't waste his time in exile. Distant but never underestimated, he began to construct something rare, a blood coalition. With his 5 sons, Notch initiated a process of training and integration that defied the usual behavior of male lions, who traditionally expel or eliminate their offspring. As documented in the series The Last Lions of the Mara, this unusual behavior transformed him from an exiled leader into an emperor in the making. As the waters flowed and vegetation flourished, the future was shaped far from watchful eyes. The river had created a pause, but not an end. The rivalry between Fang and Notch wasn't dormant, only reorganizing. And when the savannah dried up again, as it always does, it would bring more than just heat. It would bring the moment of reckoning. In the vastness of the savannah, where exile often means death, Notch did the unthinkable. He turned his strategic retreat into a rise to power. Far from Fang's reach, he gathered his 5 sons, young males who, by natural behavior, would have been expelled or ignored. Instead, as noted by the Big Cat Initiative team from National Geographic, Notch defied the rules of lion behavior and trained them to form one of the most formidable coalitions ever documented. This coalition, made up of direct descendants, wasn't just large, it was disciplined. Notch led like a general, using tactics that mirrored ancient human empires: patience, coordination, and gradual domination. Field reports indicate this group came to control approximately 1,000 square kilometers of territory around the Masai Mara, an extremely rare feat among wild lions. It was as if the savannah were witnessing the foundation of a dynasty. Each cub, now turned warrior, had a role. The brothers attacked in unison, protected females and cubs, and ensured the advancement of the Notch bloodline. This rewrote what was known about lion fatherhood. As mentioned in studies by the University of Minnesota Lion Research Center, this type of paternal involvement and coordination among brothers is an extraordinary event in the animal kingdom, a true lesson in strategy. While Fang ruled firmly with Layla on his side of the river, Notch was building something bigger, an empire, a plan that demanded time, blood, and patience. But nature, as always, has its cycle. And as the sun dried up the beds of the Mara River, a new path of solid ground began to form, and with it, the route to the final confrontation. When the rain ceased and the Mara River receded, the savannah began to breathe tension once again. The natural barrier that for years had prevented the clash between Fang and Notch finally disappeared. It was as if the very land had opened the stage for the conclusion of a legendary rivalry. Notch, now with his coalition fully mature, saw in the drought the perfect opportunity to reclaim what he had lost: territory, prestige, and revenge. The first attempt was hasty. Notch, accompanied only by one of his sons, crossed the dry riverbed in a risky raid. The attack was repelled with surprising efficiency by Fang's lionesses, loyal and fierce, who protected their domain with claws and teeth. This setback, though unexpected, served as a tactical lesson. According to reports from the Masai Mara Predator Project, this failure only strengthened Notch's determination to return better prepared. The second attack came with full force. Notch led all 5 of his sons in a synchronized, swift, and brutal offensive. The coalition advanced like a silent storm, striking Fang's pride at its heart. No one knows for sure what happened to Fang. He simply disappeared. Some say he fell during the battle, others that he left alone, exiled from his own kingdom. His absence echoes as an unresolved enigma among the region's guides. With Fang's fall, Notch took full control of the region, consolidating his supremacy. The territory that was once divided became one under his leadership. The savannah, scarred by battle, now belonged to the empire of the coalition. But even with victory, a silence remained. Something about Fang's absence still felt unfinished, as if the story hadn't ended there. In the history of the African savanna, few names echo as strongly as those of Fang and Notch. On opposite sides of the Mara River, they didn't just fight over territory, they waged a battle of philosophies. Fang, with his broken tooth, was pure instinct, a body marked by battles, a king forged in pain. Notch, on the other hand, was the brain, cold, calculating, a strategist thirsty for legacy. Fang became a symbol of solitary resistance. His legacy wasn't just physical but emotional. For many local guides, he represented raw strength with the survivor's intelligence. Notch, on the other hand, built his name through unity. The coalition with his 5 sons broke paradigms. While other males distanced themselves from their cubs, he turned them into soldiers. As documented by National Geographic's Big Cats initiative, this coalition stood out not just for its size, but for its tactical efficiency. They dominated nearly 1,000 square kilometers of territory, shifting the balance of power in the Masai Mara region. Every step of Notch and Fang shaped not only their respective kingdoms, but also the way we understand the social structure of lions. Their decisions affected generations of cubs, defined borders, and created narratives of revenge, leadership, and rivalry worthy of kings and emperors. The story of Layla, the silent queen beside Fang, is also intertwined in this plot, a symbol of stability in the midst of war. Today, even after their presence has vanished from the landscape, the traces of their battles remain visible. Scars on the land, new lions emerge, but their names still linger in the wind. Because in the savannah, time may erase footprints, but it doesn't erase legends, and maybe, in some hidden corner of the territory, roars still echo that recall the clash between Fang and Notch. So tell me, if you had to choose a king to follow, would you choose the silent and brutal strength of Fang, or the strategic and expansive vision of Notch? This war was written with claws, roars, and blood, but what it tells us is about the power to resist, to lead, and to not disappear, even when everything seems lost. It makes us reflect on leadership, sacrifice, and the cost of victory. And if Fang truly survived, where would he be now? Could there be a new chapter still hidden in this story? If you want to keep exploring the mysteries of the savannah, the legends of the great lions, and the wild strategies that shape entire kingdoms, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and join us on the next journey. Because here, every roar tells a story, and some you'll only find here.